On today's show, exploring one of nature's mysteries right here in Minnesota. Why are Minnesota's moose disappearing? We'll tag along as DNR scientists look for answers.
Kite's gonna fill up.
Here's an outdoor pursuit you may want to try. Kiteboarding, it's called, and it's the hottest thing on ice. Watch your balance.
This is gonna be your tool for today, Travis.
If you're looking for an unusual fishing guide, remember the name Jeff Anderson. Winter or summer, this lake or that. Jeff has a nose for fish. Those stories and more, next.
Minnesota Bound. Brought to you by Minnesota's select GMC dealers.
Hi everybody, Raven and I welcome you to the show. And first up is a story that really interests me because it involves one of the most puzzling mysteries featuring Minnesota wildlife. I'm talking about our Minnesota moose that seem to be disappearing. Behold the mighty bull moose, largest member of the deer family in North America. May stand 7 feet at the shoulder with weights reaching a half-ton or more. But in Minnesota, the most impressive fact about moose is a question. Why are these native giants disappearing? Down from a peak population of 8,000 a few years ago to roughly 4,300 today. In reality, the state's moose collapse actually began in the northwest corner.
In the Northwest, it really started to go up in the early 90s. And that population really crashed through 96, 97 when the season was closed and kept going down. And by the early to mid 2000s, that population really is all but gone. We didn't start to see the same things in the Northeast Minnesota moose population until really around 2008 to 2010, we started to feel like there were things going on.
For DNR wildlife scientists, despite years of study, what's causing the moose decline all across northern Minnesota remains a mystery.
The calf mortality project is what we're working on now. Really, it's kind of unknown what calf survival is, what are the different mortality factors of, that are affecting these calves.
Leading the study is DNR's Glenn Delgitis, with 22 years of field research, this time looking at the life and times of newborn moose. How many are living, how many are dying, and why?
This is the first study that has put GPS collars on calves of moose.
There's one problem. A cow wearing a GPS collar who just gave birth to a calf doesn't exactly volunteer to be captured. So moose rodeo pilots hired by DNR take to the air from the airport in Ely.
We use a radio tracking antenna off this helicopter and we go in on the cows that are about to give birth, and we use that system to spot them in very thick brush here. And once we spot them, we see if they have a calf with them.
Once we get close, the cow generally scares away. We just run in, catch the calf. They're very, they typically don't try to hide, and they're not very fast, so they're pretty easy to catch. You basically just walk up and grab them. And the whole capture might take, for a single calf, might take 3 to 4 minutes. For a set of twins, might take 5 minutes, and then we're out.
Head out that way.
Mama cow usually stays nearby.
So we'll keep watching for the next 24 hours or more, and we've been very pleased to see that most of the time she comes back. So what we have here is a female that just calved. She had twins, and this is the mother here. So that's our first location for the last 24 hours of locations, and we're getting hourly locations. And we can actually click on that location, that first location. And as you can see, that gives us the ID for that animal, it gives us a date, the time, and it gives us the actual location. The biggest thing is that these collars will also send us a text message and an email within hours of that collar going into what we call mortality mode, meaning that the animal is likely dead.
Ear tags here. It's very troubling, and hopefully we'll be able to answer some of these questions, and it's the complexity where it comes from.
Coming up, the moose radios begin to reveal why moose are dying, and later, how the cupcake lady in Edina has helped save Minnesota's moose.
Minnesota Bound, brought to you by Minnesota's select GMC dealers. Ice Force, Connecticut, and by Seven Clans Casino.
At GMC, incredible thinking always comes first. Like the GMC Sierra, the first pickup to offer a V8 engine that gets an EPA estimated 23 highway miles per gallon. The first to offer an innovative cargo bed with LED lighting. And for the first time ever, during the GMC Open House, all 2014 GMC Sierras are specially priced, so you get thousands off MSRP. This month, use your Auto Show bonus cash to get over $8,000 total value on this specially equipped GMC Sierra SLE.
Let's continue now with our moose story and find out, will all of this high tech on moose help solve the mystery? If the world is being run by computers, so too wildlife scientists increasingly rely on their screens to provide clues for why Minnesota's native moose population seems to be fading away.
Those green squares give us the first location of the last 24 hours. The red squares give us the last location of the mother and her two twins for the last 24 hours. So this is a really, really valuable tool, especially for monitoring causes of mortality, because we can determine where they are and we can get the GPS coordinates right away when it goes into mortality mode. We get that signal and we can go out and check on it very quickly.
Months later, researchers slowly began to piece together the life and times of a Minnesota calf moose. How many never reach adulthood? But the big question is, why?
So our predictions at the outset of this study are that wolves and especially black bears on the newborns are the two primary factors.
Indeed, of 34 calves with telemetry radios captured last year, 25 of those calves, or 74%, are already dead. All but 3 killed by predators, likely timber wolves and black bear.
I certainly hear from folks saying, well, we should just kill all the wolves, or we should kill all the bears. And of course, you've got another side of people who say you shouldn't kill any wolves or bears. But if you split that down the middle, the reality is killing no wolves or killing all wolves likely won't change the final outcome until we figure out what happens with adults.
162.
In other words, if adult cows were surviving and giving birth to more calves, researchers say predation would not be a limiting factor. But with both calves and cows dying at such high rates, the moose count continues spiraling downward.
So even without predation, you're not really changing the end result, because those adults are still dying anyway.
If the moose mystery is ever solved, you can expect a sweet celebration here, a most unusual setting far from the North Woods. Believe it, a cupcake shop called the Sweet Retreat near 50th and France in Edina. Look closely. There's a hint of moose love amid the assortment of sweets. Makes you wonder why.
You know, they're just a beautiful animal. When you see one, it's like seeing an elephant in the woods. I mean, you can't believe how enormous and magnificent they are, and they live up in our North Woods. It's just incredible. It's our vanilla buttercream frosting.
Robin Johnson has been the cupcake lady here for nearly 4 years.
These are all my own recipes, yes, absolutely. Just, you know, experimenting for a couple years in my own kitchen.
And then one day,
I started seeing news articles about the decline in the population, and I just did a lot of research on my own and looked to see what other states were finding. What I decided that I could do was to support this research, because there's only so much money they get through their grant. Just a collar, I believe, is like $2,400, one collar. Then they have to pay to have a helicopter crew come in and, just the field work and all this stuff. So I thought, well, I'm gonna try to raise money to help.
So what's a cupcake lady to do? Bake more cupcakes and cookies, of course.
My very first fundraiser was to make mousse cupcakes, and we were able to sell like 1,800 cupcakes that day.
But Robin had more mousse ideas in the oven.
Save Minnesota Mousse is my nonprofit that I started, and it's saveminnesotamousse.org.
106.8.
Whether you are a hunter or you're just a wildlife enthusiast or a Boundary Waters person, it doesn't matter. We all want them. We all want them to survive, and people are happy to do what they can, because you don't want to sit back and do nothing.
To restore moose in Minnesota, how sweet it will be. Up next, of all the things to do on the ice, here's an idea. Kiteboarding is the game, and it's not tame, but is it sane?
Woohoo!
Closed captioning is brought to you by the Yard, premier manufacturers of maintenance-free outdoor patio furniture and accessories from recycled plastic.
By the Yard maintenance-free furniture. Comfort, elegance, and recycling combined. Call today for your free catalog or go online to bytheyard.net.
Up next, a story about kiteboarding. Now, maybe you've done that. I haven't. But my daughter, Laura Schara, has gone up, and away.
Ever want to know what it's like to have wings and soar across the frozen landscape like a bird? Here's the deal. The wind is free, and I found Chad Dobson, a pure wind junkie, to show us how to fly.
Just the power of the wind, it's amazing. Every day, it's something different. The social aspect is great too. On a busy day, you'll see 20, 30, 40 kites out here at a shot. And it's really beautiful to see just kites everywhere in the sky of every shape and color. You will have a lot more fun on a frozen lake than you will on any of the ski hills around here. You can be riding for hours and hours at a time. No chairlifts, no lines.
Okay, sounds great. No chairlifts, no lines, but I've not done this before.
100% of our students have been up and riding on day one over the last 3 winters. We focus a lot on a steady progression to get you from ground zero to up and riding.
Red left, blue right.
Yep. If I was to let this go and just give it a sharp tug, kite's going to fill up, and now it's going to go up to 12 o'clock. It's not a strength-intensive sport. Most people look at it and say you have to be, or do you have to be really strong? And the truth of it is, it's 80 to 90% technique.
Oh, crash! If technique is the name of the game, then the rule of thumb is to start small and go up from there. Where's the wind?
Even on your first day, you could be riding 2-3 hours at a shot.
Don't get that on camera, then I'm waiting for the wind to die down.
Keep that tension
Off I went, feeling like a bird. A nervous bird, but enjoying Mother Earth's delights. As someone once said, if you surrender to the wind, you can ride it.
Did it!
And so, I did.
Woohoo!
I'm Laura Schara for Minnesota Bound.
Hi, I'm Rob Jerusalem, Managing Editor of the Outdoor News Publications. For the first time in 15 years, state-sponsored white-tailed deer feeding is occurring in northern Minnesota. Beginning early this month, the DNR agreed to use $170,000 of an emergency winter feeding wildlife health account to help hungry North Country whitetails survive this long, cold winter. Volunteers from the Grand Rapids-based Minnesota Deer Hunters Association are placing the feed on public lands across a dozen deer permit areas in northeastern Minnesota from Cloquet to International Falls. The pelletized feed that volunteers are distributing in the woods contains a healthy mix of protein, fat, some fiber, plus a variety of vitamins and minerals. The special feed is designed to supplement the browse that deer are currently eating. Now that $170,000 will buy around 1 million pounds of feed, and while MDHA is leading the deer feeding effort, money from deer hunters will pay for it. 50 cents from the sale of every deer license goes into that feeding wildlife health account, which currently has a balance of about $770,000. DNR wildlife officials have acquiesced to the public's demand for feeding, even though they have some concerns from a biological perspective. The agency fears that congregating deer around feeding locations increases the risk of possible disease transmission. They also point out that no other state has organized deer feeding because of a general consensus among deer biologists that it does little to help whitetails on a population scale. For regular updates on the progress of deer feeding, including the possibility that the final tally could top $170,000, check out the print edition of Outdoor News or view us online at outdoornews.com. I'm Rob Teresline.
Still ahead, meet Jeff Anderson, upcoming Minnesota fishing guide with a very good nose for fish, winter or summer. His story next.
Minnesota Bound, brought to you by Radco Truck Accessories, Minnesota Agricultural Water Resource Center, and by Visit Grand Rapids.
In Minnesota, you're never too old to play in the snow. And when you play in our winter wonderland of Grand Rapids, you can almost hear nature say, "Welcome. Hope you stay a while." Because you'll need some time to explore new trails, get in a workout, catch your limit, or just go for a stroll in the woods. Leave the world behind, bundle up, and come play in the snow. Here in Grand Rapids, it's in Minnesota's nature.
His name is Jeff Anderson, and he's a fishing guide. As you might expect, Minnesota has lots of great fishing guides, and Jeff is one of them. Travis Frank has the story.
Buried deep in the heart of Minnesota's North Woods lies a lake so peaceful and quiet, you might think it was closed for winter. To guys like Jeff Anderson, this empty lake is a playground just waiting to be explored.
This is gonna be your tool for today, Travis.
Ice rig loaded, we set out in 20 below zero to find slab crappies, knowing they probably haven't seen a hook all winter.
Hey, we did it.
Jeff loves the chase, and he knows the more holes we drill, the better chance we find our fish.
You know what, as cold as it is, Travis, this is what we live for right here, huh? No wind, nobody out here, we're all by ourselves. And we got fish below us, all right, let's do it.
In this perfect setting, we quickly forget about the cold and get to jigging.
The first drop of the day is always the best.
First one of the day?
Yeah, it's always a good feeling.
Oh, did you see that?
Yeah. Look at that guy. You know what though, this someday is gonna be a 14-incher, you know, so. I always like catching the little ones too.
I'm gonna get them right here.
Nice. Nice
That's a
fish.
good one. Yeah. This is...
what we're after?
Oh, no, it's not. It's a tulipy.
You got a Cisco.
I didn't come here for you. It seems the best adventures never go as planned.
And then if you like to chase, you know, and go out on a little more of an adventure type thing, you got all these little lakes here that are just essentially untouched, you know.
Untouched until the day Jeff Anderson was old enough to fish them.
My dad taught me how to fish, you know, when I was young. You know, I started guiding, I worked at a tackle shop when I was 15, and my dad would drop me off at the boat access, and I would just go fish.
In those early years, he quickly learned the secrets to outsmart fish.
And I would show everybody pictures that would come into the bait shop, and they asked me to take them fishing. Well, making $4.25 an hour wasn't cutting the bill.
So he started a guide business.
I kind of knew that's what I wanted to do.
Today, Jeff operates Leisure Outdoor Adventures, a year-round guide service that boasts 8 of Minnesota's top fishing guides. And thanks to his mom's advice, business was good.
She just tells us to make a memory, you know? And when I take people fishing, that's what we try to do is make a memory, you know? And that's what it's all about.
He took up photography to capture the moments and started his own lure company too.
The original Big Tooth rig, still putting giants on the ice. Yeah, baby. You know, shooting photos and being a fishing guide. That's kind of Jeff Anderson in a nutshell.
A lifetime of achievements that all started on a small lake just like this.
The whole equation of finding them, getting out here, finding them, setting the hook, looking at the fish, and enjoying that whole moment. That's what it's all about. Look at this big one right there. Now that is a crappie. That's the one we're after right there. It's a little bit of work, but it pays off, right? Yeah. All right, let's get it unhooked and get back down there. It's your turn.
Good fishing guides, I swear they can smell where those fish are, huh? Well, that about does it for us. Remember, introduce a kid to the great outdoors. I'm Ron Schara, and of course, always the star of the show. And a little antsy today is Raven.
Transportation provided by Premier Transportation. Call 1-800-899-7433. For more information on these stories and more, catch us on the web at mnbound.com.